Today's show is about cupcakes. Whether they're buttercream swirled, ganache glazed, or marzipan garnished, beautifully decorated cupcakes brighten everybody's day. And today I'm going to share some that are guaranteed to taste as good as they look. Starting with orange curd cupcakes, brownie cupcakes with sugared pansies, and sunflower and ladybug cupcakes. Plus, Emily Archer is here to share her technique for creating cupcake toppers that are sure to please. All today on Martha Bakes. My orange curd cupcakes burst with bright citrusy flavor from the swirled vanilla buttercream frosting on top to the curd filling within. But what really adds the perfect finishing touch is the orange chip on top. So start with the dry ingredients. We're using a combination of both regular all-purpose flour, and I use unbleached flour, and cake flour, which will lighten the texture of the cupcake and make it a little special. 1 1/4 cups of each flour, 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt, and oh, don't forget the baking powder, 1 1/4 teaspoons of baking powder, and 1/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda. We're using baking soda because we're going to be making the batter with a little bit of buttermilk. The baking soda helps activate the leavening agent when you're adding an acid like buttermilk. So anything acidic needs the help of baking soda. So cream the butter, 1 stick of butter, and 1 cup of granulated sugar. Cream that nicely, and we're going to add 2 eggs plus 2 egg yolks. We want the zest of 1 brightly skinned orange. This is the vanilla bean that we're going to use. Cut very carefully down the length of the vanilla bean, and then scrape out all those seeds. This is the flavor of the vanilla bean, most of it. And now add your dry ingredients and 1 cup of buttermilk. I'm alternating between the dry ingredients and the buttermilk. And I think we have a very nice batter. I'm using a 1/4 cup ice cream scoop. So 1 scoop per cupcake paper. And this should make about 18 cupcakes. Get these right into a preheated 350-degree oven in about 16 minutes. Rotate the pans about halfway through. So our cupcakes are out of the oven. They do have to be cool, room temperature, for frosting. And this is called a 1-pot orange curd. So we have our eggs. We have 8 large egg yolks, a 1/2 cup of orange juice, plus 2 tablespoons of lemon juice for a little added zesty flavor. 10 tablespoons of butter. It's at room temperature, and I've cut it into like 1/2-inch squares just to make it melt faster in our mix. Salt, 1/4 of a teaspoon. So put this on high. Do not walk away from the stove. I just want to break up the egg yolks. 1 cup of sugar. And what we want is to bring this up to a bubble and have a bowl fitted with a strainer like this, because this has to be strained. And I have the zest of 1/2 a lemon and the zest of an orange ready to go. I add this after I strain the curd itself because I want that fresh taste. This is the filling. It'll be piped inside. Now put this through your strainer. And the color is brilliant. And then your zest. Stir that all together. Cover with plastic wrap and let cool completely. Put your plastic wrap right on the surface to prevent a skin from forming, and chill. This is the simplest buttercream you can make. It is 2 sticks of room temperature butter, 7 cups of confectioner sugar, 1 1/2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and then at the end add a 1/2 cup milk I'll just mix this until it's really fluffy and put it into a Petri bag fitted with a small round tip. So here are our orange chips. These are thinly sliced seedless oranges. You put these sliced oranges on a silicone baking mat and sprinkle generously with sifted confectioner's sugar. Put in a 200-degree oven and cook until the sugar has melted. Flip the orange slices over, sprinkle again with a generous amount of confectioner's sugar, and continue roasting in the oven until the orange slices are translucent, sparkling, and almost like stained glass. They're crispy when they cool, and they're a very nice decoration for our cupcakes. To fill the cupcakes, I have the curd, which has been cooled, and I fitted the bag with a very small, a little less than 1/4 of an inch round tip. And insert the tip right into the middle of the cupcake and put a nice amount right in the center. A little bit of excess is okay. It'll get covered with the frosting. But this curd is so good. It's delicious on toast. It's delicious as a filling for a birthday cake. So the next time you're thinking, oh, should I make a birthday cake or cupcakes? Try these. Here's our buttercream. And this tip is a 1/2 inch star tip. And then when you add your orange slice, look at that. Really gorgeous. Now that you know the secret to making these pretty orange chips, you can use the same process with other types of citrus to decorate all sorts of desserts. Try lemon, grapefruit, even lime. Chill your cupcakes and serve them. Enjoy. Is it a brownie? Is it a cupcake? Well, actually, it's both. Surprise your guests by serving decadent brownie cupcakes with sugared pansies on top. Put 6 ounces of bittersweet chocolate into a heat-proof bowl and add 1 stick of butter, unsalted, and let that melt together. In the meantime, your dry ingredients: 2/3 of a cup of all-purpose flour, 1/4 cup of Dutch process cocoa, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And when you're baking, always use that unsweetened cocoa powder rather than sweetened cocoa powder. It allows you to control the amount of sugar in the final product. So here we have this. This is melting. It melts rather quickly over a pot of boiling water. You can turn off the heat and add 1.5 cups of sugar. And now we want 3 large eggs. These get put right into the chocolate, and then you can stir this into your dry ingredients. And for extra flavor, a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Now I suggest folding in your dry ingredients. So easy and very tasty. You can, of course, bake these as a traditional brownie, or you can bake them in these nice colored cupcake papers. And now I'm using a 1/4 cup scoop, so we're going to get even-sized cupcakes. Now make sure that your oven is preheated to 350 degrees, and you bake the cupcakes until they're just set. It's going to take about 22 to 24 minutes. A sweet little edible pansy like this, any edible flower that's been raised with no pesticides, those are the best flowers for sugaring. And they're not too difficult to do. It takes a little bit of practice. Beat an egg white or 2 with just a pinch of salt. The salt makes it very fluffy. And then with a little brush, just brush the petals carefully. Then lightly dust with superfine sugar. Shake and place on a rack. Let them dry completely. They really do look very elegant on top of our brownie cupcakes. So I'll continue with this, and next I'm going to show you how to make the ganache for those beautiful brownie cupcakes. Do you see how they've cooked with that crackly top? And they've sunken a little bit, so the ganache will fill that cavity and it'll come out to be a nice smooth top. 2/3 of a cup of heavy cream. Heat until almost boiling. And we have 10 ounces of white chocolate. It's technically not chocolate at all. It consists of cocoa butter mixed with sugar, milk solids, and flavorings. And it doesn't have the intense, deep flavor of real chocolate, but a lot of people really like its mellow sweetness and its pale color. We have purple and violet food colorings. This is a gel. So my cream is almost boiling. Pour it right over the white chocolate. Let the chocolate soften a little bit. In the baking world, these little ovals of white chocolate are called fèves. So now it's quite soft. Just stir until completely melted. So here we have the white chocolate completely melted. Now to color it, use a gel if you have it, very lightly. I just want a light lavender color. Violet and purple. Beautiful, beautiful violet color. And don't stir it too much. We don't want bubbles in our glaze. Now pour this into something that will pour easily. And I find that the measuring cup works best. And then pour the glaze right on top. The cupcakes have cooled. It'll settle in nice and smooth. You want to completely cover the cupcake, but not drip down the paper. Now just sort of ease that ganache into every little nook and cranny of the brown paper. We want it really smooth. And if there are any visible bubbles, you can just use the little toothpick to pop it like that. And then with your tweezers, apply your very beautifully dried flowers. 2 or 3. And these not only are beautiful, but they are really tasty. These have to set for at least an hour at room temperature before you serve them. Perfect for a bridal shower, a baby shower, an afternoon tea party, or just to eat. Enjoy. These are sunflower and ladybug cupcakes, and we're using the same cupcake recipe without the addition of the orange zest as we did for the orange cupcakes. And for the frosting, Swiss meringue. It's a good choice when you're piping. So you start with 5 large egg whites, heated over simmering water. Add your sugar, 1 1/4 cups of granulated sugar. By heating the sugar in the egg whites, you dissolve the sugar and you induce the egg whites to beat up into a more beautiful, shiny meringue. So now the egg whites are warm. You can remove them from the bain-marie and fit the bowl right onto your mixer. Add a pinch of salt and start to beat. While this is beating up into a beautiful froth, make sure you have 4 sticks of butter, room temperature. I'm adding 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract into the egg whites. Start at a low speed, gradually increase the speed until you get a beautiful shiny meringue. This will take a few minutes. So now when I touch the bowl, it's much cooler. And you can add the butter bit by bit. Very nice consistency. And now we're going to tint this a beautiful grassy green. So add a little to start of the green. I want to make it look like grass. A little bit of yellow. This is lemon yellow. Lemon yellow will help turn a bright green. And if it starts to get a little bit soft, just put your bowl in a bowl of ice. This will help firm it up. Better to start off light than add too much food coloring and get the wrong color. So I'll just keep stirring and mixing until I get the exact color of green that I want. So to decorate, well, use a tip 233. It's like multi-holes, very fine. We want a nice green grassy lawn for our ladybug. do this all over the top and the sides. Does it look like grass? I think so. Bright green. But look how cute. Then a charming little ladybug perched amongst the grass. Look how sweet. And then chill these so that you don't let that beautiful green grass get too soft. And the kids will be squealing for more ladybugs. A very sweet way to decorate a very tasty cupcake. So now, if you'd like to know how to make those sweet little ladybugs, use some marzipan. It is a sweet paste of finely ground almonds, confectioner's sugar, and either corn syrup or egg whites. And you can just knead food coloring right into the marzipan. We've colored this with some red food coloring. Take a small amount and I roll it. Ladybugs are kind of round. Divide the back with the back of a knife. A little chocolate chip will do as the nose of the ladybug. And the spots, little chocolate pearls. Just stick them in. There's your little ladybug. So you can make them very quickly and stick them right on top of your grassy mounds. So now, sunflowers. Sunflowers come in lots of different versions of yellow and the beautiful centers. So I thought we would try to make a naturalistic looking sunflower by combining in a pastry bag both some chocolatey brown and bright yellow frosting. So the bright yellow, and we've colored it with the gel food coloring. Put this around the outside of a pastry bag. And then the center can be filled with the chocolatey color. More yellow than chocolate. We've experimented with duotones before, and you always get something a little bit unexpected and beautiful. And this is fitted with a leaf tip. And you go all the way around the outside. And this goes very quickly, and the cupcakes look really good. So here we have some of the chocolate coming out. But this is for a nice late August, early fall party when you want to serve cupcakes that look like the flowers in your garden. So to decorate, to make them look like sunflowers, a little mound of these chocolate-covered sunflower seeds. And what an unusual combination. And what a surprise that you're actually eating sunflower seeds on a sunflower cupcake. So pretty, so effective, so unusual, and not too labor intensive. You can have a lot of fun decorating cupcakes. Let your imagination guide your way. My next guest's culinary talents are not new to me. In fact, she worked for Martha Stewart Living for the past 4 years while she pursued her love of cooking and cake decorating on the side. And they were always so meticulously beautiful. Emily Archer, welcome to our show.
Thank you so much.
It's very nice to have you back here. What drew you to baking in the first place?
So I have really always had a love of everything sweet. And a love of details and a love of really making things pretty. So baking was a really good fit for all those three things. I also love making people happy, and there's really no better way to make friends than giving them cakes or cupcakes.
Yeah, especially gorgeous ones, the way yours look.
Thank you.
So cupcake toppers, why?
So they are a really great way to add a personal touch to cupcakes that isn't necessarily frosting based. They're also great because you can make them very far ahead of time.
So this is a round of fondant that is then embellished with a drawing of some sort.
Mm-hmm. So what we usually do is just roll this out. It's great to use these things that are called dough rings because they help make sure that your fondant stays in equal thickness.
Yes.
So we have examples of the other thicknesses that you can do here. I'm going to use a fairly thin one, so it sits nicely on top of the cupcake. So when you're rolling out, you can really see that it's going to stay the same thickness all the way across the board.
Well, those spacers are great for pastry. They're great for a lot of things.
Exactly. I use them a lot on my pie dough to make sure that it stays the same thickness, and also on my cookies. Every time I bake my cookies, I always make sure to use these dough rings because if you have things that are uneven in the oven, they can burn.
So you're using a prepared fondant?
Yes, so these are available really in any craft store. They do come pre-colored, or you can easily add food coloring. So once you have everything all rolled out, I've just used a basic circular cookie cutter. You can use whatever size you want. I use this because it fits nicely on top of a cupcake. So all you really need to do is press down, cut it out, and then once you're done, use an offset spatula to sneak it under and put it to the side for drying. And so this is the geometric design that we are going to be painting.
So beautiful. Oh, I love how they look.
So there's a really easy way to make sure that your design is even and symmetrical like this. Take a piece of paper that is the same shape as the cookie cutter, folded just in fours so you know where the center is. Lay it on top of the fondant circle here, and take a pin tool that's available at any craft store, and just marking on each of the 4 lines that cross the circle. And then you can take any household ruler, just make sure you clean it first, of course, and trace between the dots that you just made. You'll be painting over them.
Oh, okay.
And they're very faint on the surface. And then we take just a circle template that you can get at any craft store, any office store, and we draw a couple of small guides that help us figure out where we want to be drawing. And again, these will all be very faint on the surface, so you won't be able to see.
So you devised this method for yourself?
Yes. I was never exceptionally good at math, but I loved geometry, and I've been able to sort of apply it to my baking. Great. So I have prepared a couple of pre-gridded out ones for us to paint with.
Okay.
So what we're going to be painting with is a mix of gel food coloring and vodka. The reason we use vodka is because fondant essentially can be dissolved by water. So if you want to add something to food coloring to get sort of a more beautiful watercolor effect, you want to add something that will evaporate.
So how much vodka? Is it good vodka?
Does
it matter?
It doesn't matter. It's not very high quality vodka.
Okay.
So use an eyedropper to put just a drop into one of these wells. And then we can put 2 or 3 into another one. And this technique really ends up being a great substitute for watercolor because it's the same basic principle. The more water you add to watercolors, the lighter the color gets. And here, the more vodka you add to the food coloring, the lighter it gets. So we can take our small brushes here and just add a little bit to one of the wells that has the smallest amount.
That's our darkest.
In it. Exactly. And then we can add a little bit to the well that has more vodka in it. If you don't want to use vodka, you can use baking extracts like orange or lemon because it has the alcohol content but isn't strictly alcohol. So what we're going to do, we're going to take our darkest blue and we can color the inside circle that you see here. And that's going to be this dark center that you see. And the nice thing about this is that if it's not perfect, it just looks even more like a handmade tile.
Mine looks extremely handmade right now.
So does mine. Then we take sort of the same darkness and starting from the center and working outward, and then you basically repeat that all the way around. And as you do more of them, you get a lot faster at them.
Okay, mine's very uneven, but it is going to look like an old-fashioned Delft tile. I guarantee it.
And now what we can do is take some of our lighter watercolors that we made, and we can draw
on the inside?
Right inside the petals that we just made.
Fantastic. All right, well, I'm going to finish this later, and I'm going to hide mine. Mine goes away. It's embarrassing, but I understand that I need practice. So as you can see, cupcake toppers are a wonderful way to customize your next batch of cupcakes. Emily, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you, audience, for watching. I hope you'll join me for the next episode of Martha Bakes. Dab a little frosting on a flower nail to secure a small rectangle of parchment paper. Using a large petal tip, hold the bag at a 45-degree angle and pipe 3 petals, overlapping each by 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. To create the look of a stamen, sprinkle poppy seeds in the center of the poppy. Chill until firm, then transfer the poppy to the top of a cupcake to create the finishing touch.